Now we want to create a helper method that can calculate the duration in hours, minutes, and seconds given the number of minutes. And as I mentioned, we're going to do this in an external function or helper function. And so we want that function to be available everywhere in our application. So to do this in Laravel, we are going to create a folder. Again, there's so many ways you can do the same thing in Laravel. So I choose to do it this way. So we are going to create a folder called support. And in here, I'm going to create a file called helpers.php. And this is going to be a regular PHP file. And I want to declare strict types. So I want to have everything in here declared as strict types. So we should become, if we're comparing, let's say, a number and a string, then it should not, the comparison should not work. It should not do implicit conversion. So I just want to have strict types in here turned on. So strict types equals 1. Now at the bottom, I want to declare the function and I'll call it convert minutes to duration. Okay. And the first thing we want to do is check if the function exists. So if function does not exist, so if function exists, convert minutes to duration. So if the function doesn't exist anywhere in the system, then we want to create it because we don't want to duplicate functions in here. Then we can create the function convert minutes to duration, and that function will take the total minutes and a format. And by default, we'll set the format to a Spring F formattable or string format that will allow us to do string replacement and to pass dynamic data to the format. Okay, so in this case, I'll just create a placeholder. We want it to have two characters, so 2D, and that will be the format like 0, 0, 0, for instance. So we are creating that format here, and then we will replace the placeholders within those formats with the actual hours, minutes, and seconds. So that would be 02, 02D, and 02D. Okay, so that will be the default format for our hours. Again, these are placeholder texts, and the only static text we have here are the columns. And so we have hours, minutes, and seconds, and we're going to be replacing those substitution variables with the actual dynamic data. So the first thing is we want to check to see if the total minutes is less than 0. Okay, in any case, if it's less than 0 or we don't have a value, then we want to just return 0, 0, 0 as we have done in our model, but it's good to do the check here again. So if total minutes is less than 0.0 or it's null, so or we don't have a total minutes at all, if you pass a null to the function, then we just want to return 0, 0, 0 again, which means when we come back here, we can even remove this and just do the conversion because that function will take care of checking if we have minutes in the argument or not. Then if we go past that point, we want to create the hours out of the minutes, and to get the hours, we simply do a floor of the total minutes divided by 60. Okay, so by dividing the minutes by 60, we get the total number of hours. Okay, and then we do a floor of that to get an integer. Then we also want to get minutes, and the minutes will simply be the total minutes, the remainder of whatever the total minutes divided by 60 will be. So we are using the modulo function here, and we are getting the remainder of whatever the total, whatever the minutes divided by 60 will be. So you can see there's a difference between the modulo function here and a division. Okay, so this will divide the total minutes by 60 and give you the value, and this will divide it by 60 and return whatever is the remainder from that division. Okay, and then the seconds will be total minutes times 60, and we get the modulo or the remainder of that. If you divide it by 60, and then we get the difference or whatever is the remainder of that quotient, then we are left with the seconds. Okay, and then here we can then return. We're going to use PHP's printf function because we have a format here that we want to return the values at. So we are going to return the format, and then we substitute each of the replacement variables here in the format with the hours, minutes, and seconds, and they have to be in that order because the printf will take the format and then the substitution values in the order in which they appear in the formatting string. So here we want to return hours, minutes, and seconds. All right. So this is a basic function that takes the minutes and returns a formatted string of the hours, minutes, and seconds. And to make this function globally available, we have to go to App Service Provider. And if we go under the boot method, we can require this file in our application, which means that when Laravel boots up, it will read that file, and any function that we define in that file will become globally available. So in here, we can just do require app path, because it is in the app path. That's a helper method in Laravel to resolve this path. So app path, and in there, we have it in a subfolder called support, and then helpers.php. Okay. So that function, by putting it in our app service provider in the boot method, it will become globally available because when Laravel boots up initially, it will read that file and it will become part of the entire application. So back in our lecture here, we can simply just do return convert minutes to duration, which is just calling the function that we just created here. So convert minutes to duration. And for that, we need to pass the duration. So this duration in minutes. And that should be it. So we have a way to get the duration in minutes. We've put that in a computed object here, or in a computed attribute. And so over in our lecture resource, where we are looking to add the duration for the lesson in hours, minutes, and seconds, we can just access that attribute that we just created, duration, hours, minutes, seconds. Now, I also want to add a flag here for whether a lecture has content. So has content, and this will simply return a value to tell us if it is a video lecture. We want to check to see if it has a video, or if it's a text lecture, then we want to check to see if it has a body in the content. Okay, so I'm just going to create a method to check if it has, or if any given lecture has content. So over here in the model, I'm going to create a helper function called has content. So public function has content. And let's do a couple of checks here. If the type of lesson, of lecture, is equal to lecture type text, and the text is not empty, so the body is not empty, this body. So if the type of the lecture is a text and the body is not empty, then we just say return true. It means it does have content. If the type is a video, so lecture type video, and the video is not empty, which means it has a video, then remember we have a relationship to video here, which is a has one. So we can check to see if the video is empty, which means it doesn't have one. Then we return true if the type is a video and the video is not empty. Otherwise, we just return false. Okay. And so over in our resource, we can simply call that method by just saying this has content. Then I also want to load the video if this is a video lesson. Okay. If if the lecture is a video, I want to load the video object, and that is what we're going to use in the front end to actually play the video to the user. So video will be equals to this. Again, we only want to put this in when this is a video lecture and it does have a video. All right. So we have to wrap this in a conditional to say when this type equals lecture type video and this video exists. So if we have a video, if it's a type video and a video exists for it, then we want to add the data for the video. So ID will be equal to this video hash ID, the source of the video, which is the source that we have to use to play the video in the front end. And we are going to come back to this a little bit later, but for now, I'm just going to say the source is nothing, because we will be creating a separate route to render the video, because we're storing the videos in a DigitalOcean bucket and the videos are encrypted with secret keys. We will create a route that is dedicated to going to DigitalOcean, fetching the video and the related key and sending it back to us. So we will do that, and for now I'm just going to keep the source as empty. The type is this video mime type, that's a column in the database. The file name, which we can display to the user in the front end, is the original file name, which is stored in the database. The status of the video, if the upload process failed or it succeeded, then we just want to return that to the front end. And the processing percent, so percent will be this video processing percent. So that's it for fleshing out the resources. And again, we will come back and look at the source for the video a little bit later, or maybe when we're implementing the front end. But for now, this is good enough for us to test things around in Postman.